Okay guys, I got this piece in to replace that one that was all bent up, so I got it clamped in there and I'm trying to figure out what all was moved behind it during the wreck. So I went ahead and stuck the fender on there, and it looks like, okay, I've got this bracket bent back out here, so when I punch my holes in here and weld that, it looks like that this back piece still needs to come forward about an inch or so I can weld it right here. But the fender, it's really good actually. The gaps look nice. Shut the hood. Gap looks good over there. So I think I'm going to stick the headlight on just loosely to see if the gaps look good around it. And if it does, then I think we're good on this thing. As far as taking it to Mike, I just need to weld that piece in, and I'll have him spray that while he's got it. And it shouldn't be too hard to beat that one piece back out. So let's see what we can do with that right there. Alright, so everything lines up pretty well. I've got it just stuck in there loosely. The hood is off just a tad on the gap. Once I get it shut, it pushes it over just a little bit up in the front, and it's a little bit too tight right here. So the hood is a little bit too loose over here, so the hood needs to adjust over that way just a little bit. So, I should have known that before. This gap is a little bit too wide on this side too, so that makes sense. So we'll adjust it that way as we go on with this. But right now I want to get back up in there and take that air cleaner box out so I can get in there and beat on the back side of that piece that needs to come out so I can weld it. So let's do that. Alright, so here's what it looks down there with the air box out. I'm going to have to hit right in here. That is where it's pushed in, I think. You can see where it's all dented in right here. So, it just looks kind of. Yeah, I guess it is hit. I'll tap around on it, see what I can do with it. Alright, I've got everything about bent back where it goes, so I'm going to take the grinder and grind all those spot welds down and fill in some holes with the welder and get ready to weld that thing back in. Alright, everything's ground down and holes all welded up, so I've got it clamped in there where it needs to go. So I'll just punch some holes through here to do the spot welds, and then some right here. Should be ready to weld up. Alright, so I've got all the stuff done I just said I was going to do. I've got these holes punched in this little bracket here on both top and bottom, and I've got weld through primer sprayed on this part that goes behind there and then the back side of this bracket, so it's ready to weld on. I'm going to clamp it good and tight, try to get a good weld on for those spot welds, and then I need to do a few more things. So I got to have it to Mike tomorrow morning so he can start on the body work. And so I'm going to cover up that back seat in there because he's going to have to do some work on that back door jamb. I got the seat all clean, so I want to make sure it stays clean, so I'm going to put plastic on that. And then really that's about it, other than loading whatever parts I've got in there that he might need to check gaps and stuff. So let's get that welded and we'll get this show on the road. Alright, I've got that welded in there. My spot welds are kind of ugly, so I'm going to grind them down a little bit so that they don't stick up so much when we paint it. But I'm not a professional welder, so let's do that. And I might even scuff it up a little bit for Mike since he's got to do that to paint it. So then we'll move on to putting all this air. Forgot about that. I got to put all the air cleaner box and this sensor right here and hook all that back up so so it runs right when we load it on the trailer. So after the Mustang debacle where I smashed the fan out of the bottom of Andy's Mustang with the jack trying to get it off this trailer, I had an extra set of ramps made, put on the trailer so that these things double. They'll open out and then they'll open out again. This is the first time I'm going to try it with the Terrain, which the Terrain doesn't have a lot of clearance issues anyway. But this will give me a good chance to try it. So that actually went really smooth. Those ramps helped a lot. I think they will on the low cars like the Mustang, but on that it was nothing. It just drove right up it like it's nothing, but it's got a lot of clearance under it. So the only problem is I don't know if it's worth the price of the hernia surgery you're going to have by lifting those ramps back up, because they are heavy when they're double. So that thing, I just got to strap it down. It'll be ready to take the mics, and hopefully next time we see it, it'll be painted and done. Alright, so there's the piece that I've welded in. He sprayed that. There's a little ding down here on the edge of the wheel well that he got fixed. And this fender is just kind of stuck on there. It's not got all the bolts in or anything, so the gaps aren't been adjusted yet, but they will do all that. So got to put that piece on down there. But the doors look really nice. Dings out of those, and then that piece, if you can remember back here, this was dented in, and then that back bumper, got all that fixed and repainted. Still waiting on the little gas cap cover. Need to paint that, and that is about it. Oh, the bumper, got the bumper in the back, got to get that out. Then it's about time to start reassembly, so we'll do the doors probably first. Start putting all the guts back in those and the wiring and all that stuff, and mirrors, and these things, I'd say in a few days this will be done. Alright guys, so it's a new day here, and the goal for today is to get all the guts from the smash doors, which have the good guts, into the donor doors, which have no guts. Oh, sorry guys, my camera died in the middle of that and didn't know it quit, so you didn't get to see me finish the door, but got the door handle on and everything inside is on. Everything works. I tested it, mirror and the box and the window, so that one's done, and now I'll go back and do the same thing to the back door. And probably won't film that because it's just the same thing, and I'm sure you've seen it once. So then we'll go back up and start working on headlight and all that kind of stuff. Alright, so I've got this back door, all the guts in it. I just tested the window and door locks and all that, and it works. And the speaker. And so now I'm going to go ahead and install the door handle there. And I think the battery died before I got to show that on the front, so I'll show how that works. These GM door handles, it's the same same style that we did on the Solstice, if you remember. But they're really super simple to put in, and they work pretty well, so it's pretty good design. So I'll show you how that works. So I just stuck this handle in the slot. You push it in and slide it forward in the slot, and then you take this little small piece here, lift this out, that snaps in, and then there's a little bitty screw, little set screw up inside this little inspection hole right here. You get it lined up, you just tighten it. It's a little long-winded, so it's good and tight. Should do it. Let's see. There it is. So we got two door handles, and then we gotta put the door panel back on the inside, which we'll do here in just a second. Alright, doors are complete. Body lines, gaps are perfect. And lined up exactly right. So the only other thing I have to do for body wise to make sure gaps are alright is put that fender on. And I think I'm going to put the headlight on first. It's a little easier to get it on, the fender off. So we'll do that and then try to see what we can do with this fender. Yeah. So now that part is done, let's go ahead and start in on the fender. That's the last thing we got to do to try to get gaps exactly right. So let's get it mounted on there and tweak it around a little bit, make sure that everything looks good, and then we will. I've got to put that terrain lettering back on the door, and then I might start putting part of the bumper back together. So we've got another really nice, perfect gap right there in the fender. When I shut the hood, I got a really good gap right here, but a little bit too big of the one over here on this side. So I'm gonna have to adjust that hood, see if I can get it exactly right. And then that's about it. I'll start working on fender liners. Alright, got the gaps all done on the hood. So that looks really nice. Gotta put that trim piece on down there. And I went ahead and put the fender liner in back here. Show that on video because it's boring, but Mike really did a good job on this back right here. I mean, that looks really nice. So now we got the front fender liner to do, which I'll probably go ahead and put that on. And then all that's left is the bumper, the terrain letters, and the gas cap. Well, welcome to the Rebuild It bumper assembly facility, otherwise known as my basement floor. So I've got all the parts that were on the old bumper that were destroyed, or not destroyed, taken off and cleaned and ready to go on the new one. Then I've got new parts there that were just the ones that were replacing the ones that were destroyed. And we've got the new grill, new bumper painted by Mike, and the new GM lower fascia, which was the most expensive thing I guess I had to buy on the whole car on an individual piece. It was like $265. It's just that bottom piece that goes along the bottom of there. I'll show you in here in a little bit when I unwrap it. So I'll put it on time lapse, and this should all just snap right in there and be pretty easy. So we'll see how it goes. Alright, somebody slap me the next time I say, it should just snap together. It does snap together, but it's a pain because everything, you gotta get everything lined up exactly right, and I had to use a heat gun to heat it up enough to make it pliable because it's, this plastic was all stiff. So anyway, it's all together now, looks good. So the next step is to come back out here to the shop, and I need to install that fender liner. Go ahead and jack it up, take that wheel off so I can see what I'm doing. Install the fender liner, and then make sure that I've got all the nuts and bolts and clips that hold everything together. Because I know of one bolt that I'm missing, I'm gonna have to go to town to get. So I want to make sure there's nothing else I need. This is the time. The last thing that you put on is always the hardest because there's always something missing. So. You always end up having to go to town 2 or 3 times to get a bolt or a clip. So let's see what we can get done here. Alright, so fender liner's in. All that's left to do is get this bumper put on. So I'll pop the hood and bring it in here, and hopefully it matches right up and snaps in easily, and get the tire back on and be done with this project. Well, it's a lovely day in the neighborhood. I'm taking the Terrain to the inspection station, to the highway patrol to get my final inspection. So everything's going great. Everything looks good. No warning lights. Driving great. Driving straight. Got it all aligned at the shop the other day. So shouldn't have any problem, and I should see you guys back when I'm done. Well, we're back from the inspection. Everything passed with flying colors. So now it's just a waiting game, sending all the paperwork in to Jeff City and waiting for the title to come back. So that's it, signing off on the Terrain build. Alright guys, thanks for watching the finale of Terrainwreck. Kind of go over a little bit more again what we did on this whole build. And one of the things we did was, this whole side was side swiped, so we would replace the headlight, the fender, both doors. Had Bodyman Mike fix the back bumper. We replaced this entire bumper cover, the front grille. everything looks really good. The gaps turned out good. I'm pleased with it. The inside of this car is really nice. It's probably too dark to see in there very well, but it's only it's a 2016 with 30-some thousand miles on it. All leather, heated seats, all that stuff. So when we totaled up a while ago what we spent on the car and remember this car had hidden damage. So remember the whole episode we talked about how they cut out the pictures of the blown side curtain airbags, and there's the whole front suspension was gone and it looked like it was fine in the pictures and all that stuff. So even with all that and all the parts, replacing pretty much all this whole side and the paint and body work, we were at $11,680, something like that. So you guys let us know what you think down in the comments. That we do well in this car, even though we had a bunch of damage we didn't know about. All right, thanks guys for watching, and again we want to ask that you leave comments down below and tell us what you think about this whole build. We know this wasn't like a greatly highly sought after vehicle, it's just a terrain, but it was still interesting. It was the first time I've done one that was sideswiped like that, so learned a lot. And just hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next episode.
And always remember, don't retire it if you can rebuild it. See you guys next week. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in and watching this week's episode of Rebuild It. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any awesome content. Have a good one.